This is a video to continue learning how to graph rational functions. We're going to be doing pretty much the same stuff. We need another day to practice a little bit more. So we're staying with the same types of functions. We're just going to add one element into it, one a day, just to practice some more. So I figured we'd add in the y-intercept now. So just to review, a vertical asymptote is where the denominator equals 0, and for right now that's just solving this denominator for x, which as a formula ends up being negative d over b. Horizontal asymptote is y equals the leading coefficients a over b. Now again, these are going to get more complicated, but for right now it's just the leading coefficients a over b. Make sure you have x equals and y equals. If you just have a number, that's not a line. These are lines, so it has to read as x equals a number, and the horizontal has to be y equals a number. X-intercept, we set the numerator equal to 0, and as a formula ends up being negative c over a. And I showed you this diagram. I hope that was helpful for some of you, of where we get each component. So we're going to add in the y-intercept now, and the y-intercept is the same as it's been since Algebra 1, and the y-intercept exists when x equals 0. So if x equals 0 and I plug 0 in for x, and if we look at the format, if 0 goes in for x here and here, these terms, anything times 0 would just become 0. So in essence, we end up just looking at the coefficients, or sorry, at the constants. So it works out to be the constants in the fraction. So this fraction c over d ends up being your y-intercept. So if I were to put all this together, it would look something like this. And again, I'll post this document. It tells us where we get each component. So one quick example, y equals x minus 3 over 4x minus 4. So the vertical asymptote, I look to the denominator. When I set the denominator equal to 0 and solve, I would add 4, divide by 4. 4 divided by 4 means x equals 1 is the vertical asymptote. Horizontal asymptote, leading coefficients, 1 over 4. So y equals 1/4. And I don't know why I have it there twice. And we have x-intercept is the numerator. X minus 3, when that's equal to 0, I would get x equals 3, add 3 over. So the y-intercept is at 3, 0. And then the y-intercept, when x equals 0. So if I plug 0 in for x, the numerator would give me negative 3. The denominator, 0 times 4 is 0. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. And really, it just ends up being these constants, negative 3 over negative 4, which two negatives make a positive, so it's just 3/4. So the y-intercept is 0, 3/4. And I have a graph here. There's my y-intercept at 3/4, x-intercept at 3. I got one more point just to give us some guidance of where it's following the asymptote. Make sure you're following the asymptotes in each direction. This blue line and the black line are the asymptotes here. And you can see the horizontal asymptote at 1/4, real close to the axis. And this is why we need to label these asymptotes, because if you didn't see this black line here, if you didn't draw it and label it, you'd almost think maybe it's following 0 if you're not paying attention to the details. So just be detail oriented and make sure you're graphing them as accurately as possible. Make sure you have them following the asymptotes in every direction.